Hello, very good morning. I'm Dr. Janak Patel. Today I'll be talking about P wave. P wave is very important, and if you understand properly, you will be able to make out lot number of conditions by looking at ECG, 12 lead ECG as well as rhythm strip. Again, repeating the same thing, you will see only what you will look for, and you will look for what you recognize, only what you know. So when you look at the ECG, you will recognize only what you have understood. So you will remember only what you have understood. So try to pay attention and listen properly. So today we will be talking about a P wave. Go on looking at the ECG more and more. More you see, more you listen, more you will learn and more you will know and you will understand well. So there are certain basic rules for P wave. P wave morphology is very peculiar, that it is upright in lead 1, lead 2 and V2 to V6. This is in normal person, and P wave will be inverted in AVR. So P wave is inverted, QRS complex is inverted, T wave is inverted. While P wave will be biphasic, usually biphasic in V1. P wave amplitude is 2.5 small square in height and 2.5 small square in timings. So P wave is a smooth dome shape curve. Amplitude is never more than 2.5 and duration is never more than 2.5 small square. So that will come around what we call as 0.01, while amplitude will be 2.5 millivolt. So more than 0.1 second is called as a broad, and amplitude more than 2.5 or more than half of RR is called tall. P wave will be there before each QRS complex, and if P wave is present before each QRS complex, it is called sinus rhythm. P wave is always equal to QRS in sinus rhythm. If P wave is more or less than QRS, then it is not sinus rhythm, that is some other abnormal rhythm. PP interval and RR interval is constant, then we call that as regular. But if PP interval is not equal to RR interval, then it is because of some irregularity or because of some abnormal rhythm. If it is sinus rhythm and rate is less than 60, we will always use the word bradycardia. And if it is sinus rhythm, we call sinus bradycardia. And if it is more than 100 per minute, rate is more than 100 per minute, then we call that as tachycardia. And if the rhythm is sinus, we call as sinus tachycardia. All P wave are same, maybe upright, maybe not, maybe biphasic. P wave does not follow the rule. If P wave is not following all those rules we have mentioned just now, we'll call that P wave is abnormal. Now we'll be going through some of those. So this diagram shows you that this is an upright P wave. This is a duration which is 2.5 small square, means we call 100 millisecond, and height is 2 to 2.5. So it is never more than 2.5. So that is called as an amplitude. And P wave is upright in lead 2 and AVF. It is always negative in AVR and it is biphasic in V1. So P wave is upright in lead 1, lead 2 and V2 to V6. Amplitude we have already told you, 2.5 small square in duration, 2.5 small square in height. And if P wave are equal to QRS complex, and P wave is always present before all QRS complex in normal sinus rhythm, and PP interval and RR interval is always regular. Now if you see the P wave components, P wave is from three components, basically two, right atrium, left atrium. But first one third of the component is purely by right atrium, last one third is purely by left atrium, and middle part is a summation of right plus left. So first one third is RA, last one third is LA, and middle one third is components of both. Or if you divide into two half, first is by RA and second half is by LA, because right atrium is first stimulated and then the left atrium is stimulated. So now how you approach to a P wave examination? So we have told you that whenever you look at the P wave, look at the rhythm strip. Best way is to look at the rhythm strip, and best rhythm strip is lead 2. Have a 6-second rhythm strip of lead 2 and then have a look at it. P wave is present, absent or hidden. You try to find out that. Second thing, look at the shape by looking at the amplitude and duration, and look at the shape. There are many different types of shape. We'll be showing you all those. So whether the shape is normal or abnormal. Then look at the rhythm. PP interval and RR interval should be constant. And PP interval, all PP intervals should be same. So we call that as a regular rhythm. Then look at the relation to QRS complex. Whether P wave is present before each QRS complex. And if it is QRS complex is present, then look at the QRS complex whether it is wide or narrow. Now you can see here, these are QRS complexes. This is not P wave, this is T wave. And I can't make out P wave. So here P wave is present, and if it is present, it is hidden in the T wave, or P wave is not seen. Two possibility. So P wave is best seen in lead 2 rhythm strip. So try to have that particular strip. Now you can see here, before each QRS complex there is a P wave. Before each QRS complex there is a P wave. And QRS complex is narrow. All component, that is P wave, QRS complex and T wave, all in the same direction. So rhythm wise, this is sinus rhythm, and rate wise it is 100. So we'll call this as sinus tachycardia. So rhythm strip, look at that. So now we'll be talking of the first. Look at whether the P wave is present or not. Sometime you will see the P wave is present, but you cannot see clearly. So it is hidden. So whether it is present or hidden, you will have to find out if it is present or it is hidden. So it will be present in sinus rhythm, which can be bradycardia, tachycardia, or maybe in a sick sinus syndrome. In atrial rhythm, like atrial premature beat, paroxysmal atrial tachycardia, atrial flutter, left atrial ectopic rhythm, even in case of multiple atrial tachycardia, MAT we call, multifocal atrial tachycardia. But in case of a supraventricular tachycardia, it is not clearly seen, so we call that as a hidden. In a AV block, whether first degree, second degree or third degree, P wave is present. But P wave rate is different. Hence, this will be produced in a case of a first degree, second degree. In second degree, Mobius type 1, Mobius type 2, you will have a presence of P wave, but P wave may not be related to QRS complex. In a hypokalemia, P wave is present and the ST segment changes will take place. T wave will slowly disappear and you will have an appearance of a U wave. In AV dissociation, P wave are present, but P wave rate, PP interval is less than RR interval, and this is classical in case of an AV dissociation. In Stokes-Adam attack, P wave are present, but there are no QRS complex. In an AV nodal rhythm, P wave is either hidden, or it is just after QRS complex, or just before QRS complex. So these are the conditions where the P wave is present, and you look at that and look at the P wave present or it is hidden. Well, P wave is always absent in ventricular premature beat because there is no P wave before ventricular premature beat, in ventricular tachycardia, in ventricular fibrillation. In ventricular tachycardia, P wave are absent before QRS complex. QRS complex are broad and the rate is more than 100 per minute. Well, in ventricular fibrillation, there is no P wave, no QRS complex, you cannot identify. So that we call as a ventricular fibrillation. In idioventricular rhythm, there are no P wave, there are broad QRS complex and the rate is between 20 to 40 per minute. And if you see no QRS complex, no P wave, and there is a straight line, it may be sinus arrest or it may be ventricular arrest. In case of an atrial fibrillation, P wave are absent, they are replaced by what we call as a F wave or we call fibrillatory wave. And RR interval is irregular because some are transmitted, some impulse are not transmitted. In case of hyperkalemia, P wave is present initially, PR interval gets prolonged, P wave disappears, and in severe hyperkalemia, you get appearance of a sine wave and there is no P wave at all. This is typical, so always try to look at P wave is present or absent and you can easily decide what is the condition. So try to pay attention. Now I'll show you some of the ECG leads. Here you can see P wave is present before each QRS complex. P wave is followed by QRS complex. QRS complex is narrow. All P wave, QRS complex and T wave are all in same direction. This is normal sinus rhythm and rate wise it is normal. It is between 60 to 100 per minute. So P wave is seen, QRS complex is seen and this is the relation. Now here all those preceding things were same. P wave is present, QRS complex is there. P wave is followed by QRS complex, narrow QRS complex, all in same direction. P wave is upright, QRS complex is upright, T wave is upright, and rate wise it is less than 60 per minute. So this is sinus bradycardia. Now this is rate is more than 100 per minute. So this is sinus tachycardia. Now here you can see that this is RR interval, this is RR interval. This has come little early and this is QRS complex which is identical like previous. But if you see at the P wave is different from this. So this is an atrial beat, but it has come early. So it is premature atrial contraction giving rise to P wave followed by a QRS complex and there is a pause. This is called non-compensatory pause or incomplete pause. This is classical of premature atrial contraction. We have discussed before and we'll be discussing in a extra system. Now if you see here, this is junctional rhythm. Now there is a small P wave here just before each QRS complex. QRS complex is narrow and P wave is in opposite direction of QRS complex. So this is coming from atrial focus but abnormal. So QRS complex is because of the AV node activation and AV node activates the atrium and that gives rise to an abnormal P wave followed by a narrow QRS complex and rate is more than 100. So this is called junctional tachycardia. Now this is atrial flutter. You can see these are called sawtooth appearance and atrial rate is nearly 300. Ventricular rate is 75. So this is 4:1. But here you can see that here the interval, RR interval is different. So this is a variable block. And this is atrial flutter. Now if you see here, I can't make out P wave. Rate is tachycardia. All QRS complex are narrow. I don't see P wave preceding the QRS complex. It is extremely difficult to identify. This is a T wave. This is all T wave. I can't differentiate T and P, so I can't identify the P wave. But as the rate is more than 100 per minute, this is almost 7, so it is nearly 200. So when the rate is so fast, we usually label that as a supraventricular tachycardia, maybe coming from the atrial focus. So this is a supraventricular tachycardia, and usually you can't identify the P wave. So we call that the P wave are absent. So P wave are absent, and you see only a QRS complex. And because of such severe tachycardia, you can see even a ST depression. Now you can see here, there is a run of tachycardia, and then there is a slow rate. This run of tachycardia we call as a paroxysmal atrial tachycardia or paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia. Here also, you can see the rate is more than 100 per minute. There is almost 150, more than 150 per minute. So this is supraventricular tachycardia. You can call this as a paroxysmal because this is paroxysm, and then there is a normal rate. Now if you see here, there are P wave. The number of P wave are more than RR. So this is AV dissociation. P wave are more than QRS complex. RR interval is irregular. If you see this interval, it is irregular. So this is AV dissociation. And there is a high grade AV block. Now if you see here, there is a P wave, but there is no QRS complex. Meaning, impulse has come from SA node. It has activated the atrium, but there is no QRS complex. So there is no activation of ventricle. This is non-conducted premature atrial contraction. And because there is no QRS complex, there will be no pulse. And this will give rise to a big pause. There is a big pause here. But there will be no apex pulse deficit. Now if you see here, there is a normal P wave QRS complex, normal P wave QRS complex. And now you can see only P wave, but there are no QRS complex. And as there are no QRS complex, there is no ventricular contraction. So there is no ejection. As there is no ejection, no cardiac output, no blood supply to brain, and person gets syncopal attack. And this is described as a Stokes-Adam attack, which will give rise to a syncope. If it is long enough, it will be dangerous one. Now we'll be talking about some of the arrhythmias where the P wave is absent. So P wave may be masked in QRS complex like AV node ectopy or ventricular ectopy, and you might see sometime a P wave, there is no P wave activation like in a case of a sinoatrial block or sinus arrest. Here the sinus node does not generate any impulse, so there is no P wave or no QRS complex. Here sinus node generates the impulse but cannot come out from sinus node and activate the atrium. So again here PQRST and P wave are absent. Now if you see here, this is one ECG which shows you P wave is absent. Here P wave is present, P wave is present, normal QRS complex, normal QRS complex. This has come little early. There is no P wave, but QRS complex is broad. T wave in opposite direction, followed by a full compensatory pause. This is classical ventricular premature beat. And as both these beats are of a same shape, this is unifocal ventricular premature beat. If you see, this is only single beat. Again unifocal ventricular premature beat. Again unifocal ventricular premature beat with a full compensatory pause. Now if you see here, the RR interval is irregular. I can't make out P wave at all. And that P wave is replaced by a F wave. These are called fibrillatory wave. This is atrial fibrillation. P wave is absent, QRS complex you can see. This is another thing where you can see a broad QRS complex, RR interval is regular, ventricular rate is between 20 to 40 per minute, and QRS complex is not preceded by P wave. This is idioventricular rhythm. You can't call this as a bradycardia, but because the ventricular rate, idioventricular rate is between 20 to 40 per minute, the rate here is around 30. So this is normal idioventricular rhythm rate. Hence this is called normal idioventricular rhythm. Now you can see here, these are three ventricular complexes. These are three ventricular premature beat, no P wave before. So this is called triplet. P wave is absent, QRS complex you can see. Now here you can see that as you develop a hypokalemia, P wave is present, but T wave slowly will become flatter and you will have appearance of a U wave. While in case of a hyperkalemia, the P wave will disappear with a severe hyperkalemia and QRS complex will become broad, T wave will be tall. This we call as a sinus wave, or we call sine wave. In a sinoatrial block, means from the sinus node, the impulse does not come out, and you can see here between these two RR, there is no P wave, no QRS complex. Hence, the impulse is not coming out of SA node and cannot activate the atrium or cannot activate the ventricle. Usually in this interval will be multiple of RR, or we can call multiple of PP. Same thing. You can see here there is no PQRST. Hence, sinus node generates the impulse but does not come out to activate the atrium. Then this is called sinus block, or we call it a sinoatrial block, or even it is called sinoatrial block. And when you get a long pause and there is no PQRST and this interval is not the multiple of RR, usually it is common in case of a sinus arrest. That is very common in sinus arrest. You can see here, this is a big RR interval. There is no PQRST, and if you calculate this, is not the exact multiple of previous RR. So here, PQRST both are absent. There is no P wave, there is no QRS complex. And this is typical. We call sinus pause, or we call sinus arrest. And this interval, that pause, is not multiple of RR. Here you can see this is ventricular fibrillation. This was ventricular tachycardia. There is no P wave at all. And then here you can't make out P wave and QRST. This is a irregular zigzag rhythm, which you cannot find out. And this is classical of ventricular fibrillation. So both P wave and QRS complex you cannot identify. Here also this is a straight line. There is no PQRST. Hence there is no contraction of a ventricle. We call that is a asystole. And it is usually following a ventricular tachycardia, ventricular fibrillation. That's why we use the word ventricular asystole. If it follows atrial arrhythmia, we call it as atrial, or we call it as a sinus arrest. Again, this is a condition where P wave is absent, QRS complex is absent. This is another thing. You can see a small pacemaker spike. This is dual pacing. This is a ventricular complex because of this ventricular pacemaker spike. Now there is an spike here, but has not generated any impulse. Means this is a failure of output, or we call it a pacemaker failure. And then there is no QRS complex at all. So this can happen in a pacemaker failure. Again, you can't make out P wave and QRS complex, so you call that as absence of P wave and QRS complex because of pacemaker failure. Now say we take it for granted P wave is present. How you look at that? Now we look at the shape by looking at the height and duration. We already told you that previous one third, first one third is by RA, the middle one third is by both RA and LA, and last one third is by left atrium. If you roughly see this, this is right atrium, this is left atrium, and when combined together, this becomes single wave. We call as a P wave. Now, if you look here, this component is because of right atrium, which you can see in lead 2. This is a component which is because of a left atrium, which you can see like this. When combined together, right and left combined together, we see a smooth dome shape. This you will be able to make out in lead 2. In AVR, right atrium will give a negative component and left atrium will also give rise to a negative component. So this is very classical. So this will give rise to a negative P wave in AVR. Now we have told you that amplitude is 2.5. So if amplitude is more, it is characteristic in case of right atrial enlargement, hypokalemia, and that right atrial enlargement is very common in case of a pulmonary hypertension. So pulmonary hypertension, right enlargement, say because of pulmonary stenosis, because of tricuspid stenosis, atrial septal defect, etc. Right atrium is enlarged, you will have a tall P wave. Also in case of an acute cor pulmonale also you can have a tall P wave. While P wave amplitude is very low in case of a hyperkalemia. So that will be peculiar. And sometimes you can see a low amplitude also in case of a left atrial enlargement. It will be broad and notch. So this is regarding an amplitude. And here you can see that this is notch P wave. All are same. So this can be sinus. Because once the sinus node generates an impulse, it will go to the right atrium and left atrium. Depending upon the condition, you can have a dome shape, you can have a biphasic, you can have a notch P wave. But here if you see, this is dome shape, this is dome shape, this is dome shape, and this is notch one. And if you look at the RR interval, this RR interval is little early. So this is premature beat, or we call ectopic beat, and it is coming from the atrium. It is abnormal shape, so it is coming from atrium. So we'll call this as an atrial ectopic beat or atrial premature beat, followed by a pause. You can see a pause. This RR interval is bigger, and this is called non-compensatory pause. So this is one of the things which you can identify by looking at the shape of P wave. Now you can see different shape. This is upright dome shape. This is inverted, which is common in AVR. You can see a biphasic P wave, very common in V1. Usually in a biphasic in a V1, you have got a small upright and a small negative, which is because of LA. So RA gives rise to positive and LA gives rise to negative in V1. If you have got a dome and dart shape, it is very common with L, bilateral enlargement. And if you get a short-tooth appearance, it is common in flutter. And if you get a F wave, or we call fibrillatory wave, it is common in fibrillation. Now here we have given some example. The duration is 2.5 small square, or we call 0.1 second, and amplitude is 2.5, we call as a 2.5 millivolt. And it is always inverted in case of AVR, while it is upright in lead 1, lead 2, and V2 to V6. So if you get an inverted P wave, it is very common in junctional rhythm, left atrial ectopic rhythm, and wandering pacemaker. In a wandering pacemaker, the shape of the P wave is different before each QRS complex. But if you get a wide and notch P wave, we call P mitral, it is very characteristic of a left atrial enlargement. While if you get a peak P wave, duration is short and amplitude is more, we call P pulmonale, it is in a right atrial enlargement, and P pulmonale is very common in case of a COPD, acute corpulmonal, chronic corpulmonal. You can get a right atrial enlargement in case of a pulmonary stenosis. Also, you can get in case of a atrial septal defect, tricuspid stenosis, etc. Sawtooth appearance like this you can get in atrial flutter, and you can get a fibrillatory wave in case of atrial fibrillation. And P wave will be absent in ventricular premature beat, ventricular tachycardia, ventricular fibrillation, in some cases of junctional rhythm, also in case of a supraventricular tachycardia, in hyperkalemia. In all these conditions, P wave will be absent. Now, these are some of the conditions where you can have an abnormal shape of the P wave. We have already given you some of the cases, but we'll be talking about all those conditions regarding an abnormal shape, and we'll be showing you some of those ECGs. Now, you can see here regarding an right atrium and left atrium. Now, when the right atrium is good enlarged, you can see this duration is little short and it is tall. This we call the P pulmonar. Same you will see in lead 2, but in V1 you will see the first component tall and second component small, which will be negative, which will be by LA. While in a left atrial enlargement, when you look in lead 2, right atrial gives the first component and left atrial gives the second component. So first wave is small and second wave height is more, but duration is longer. This gives rise to typical M shape we call P mitral. And in V1 lead, you can see the first component is small, which is positive, which is by right atrium, and second component by left atrium, which is negative, which is much deeper. So there will be a deep wave, deep negative wave because of LA in V1 in case of a left atrial enlargement. So this is peculiar. And when you get a biatrial enlargement, depending upon which chamber is enlarged, if a right chamber is enlarged, you will have a first component tall, followed by a second component, and you will have a both a positive wave and negative wave because of RA and LA in V1. So this is the way you try to look for P wave shape in lead 2 and lead 1, lead 2 and V1 for right atrial enlargement, left atrial enlargement, and biatrial enlargement. So this is typical of P pulmonal. This is P mitral. You can see here the second component is deeper. Second, that is LA component is much deeper. So that is more in favor of a left atrial enlargement. And this is short, duration is short, and it is tall, more than 2.5 small square. So it is called P pulmonar. We'll show you some other ECGs also. You can see here this is taller. P wave is quite tall. Sometimes it is more than half of RR. More than half of R. You can see a tall, more than 2.5 small square, and this duration is less. And in V1, you will have a first component tall. Positive component will be tall. Here you can see the P wave is taller than even R, almost nearly parallel to R. That is right atrial enlargement, or we call P pulmonar. You can see here again, this is more than half of R. So this is classical P pulmonar. And in V1, you can see the first component is tall, second component is small. That is left atrial component is small, right atrial component is taller. Now here, if you see here, this is broad and notch. Broad and notch. And in V1, you see a second component is much taller, means deeper. So that is peculiar. This is a M shape, or we call the P mitral. Broad and notch. The duration is longer than 2.5 small square. So that is peculiar of a left atrial hypertrophy. You can see this second component is deeper. Second component is deeper. But simultaneously also look at the other component. Here the PR interval is less than 0.2. Here the PR component is more than 0.2. That is 0.32. That's why this is left atrial enlargement with first degree AV block. First degree AV block. This is regarding biatrial enlargement. You can see here the first component is taller, and this is the second component. Here first component is taller, second component. So this is a bilateral enlargement. Now this will be showing you whether the P wave is regular or irregular. So try to concentrate, and this you can make out if you take a 6-second strip. Here you can see almost all P wave are regular and same shape. all P wave are followed by QRS complex. So this is normal sinus rhythm, normal sinus rhythm. And now we'll show you all the different varieties. Now if you see here, this P wave followed by QRS complex, P wave followed by QRS complex. There is a P wave followed by QRS complex, but this P wave and this P wave configuration is different. This is atrial extrasystole followed by a pause, followed by a pause. So this is atrial extrasystole. You can see same thing, atrial extrasystole, premature atrial contraction. This has come early, followed by a pause. Now if you see here, P wave followed by QRS complex, P wave followed by QRS complex, P wave followed by QRS complex. This has come early. Here is the P wave. This is atrial ectopic wave followed by a pause. Again normal P wave, normal QRS complex. Now this is narrow. Now see, this is broad. And it is T wave is in opposite direction, while here QRS complex T wave is in the same direction. So this is the atrial premature beat, this is the ventricular premature beat. This will not give rise to pulse, this will give rise to pulse. So here there will be no apex pulse deficit, here there will be apex pulse deficit. So this is very characteristic difference between the atrial and ventricular premature beat to differentiate on a rhythm script. Now understand this. Again I am going back to previous one. See this and see this. Now this looks like a ventricular premature beat. But before this there is a P wave. This is a P wave. This is a P wave. Now as this is a P wave and this is a broad QRS complex, T wave is in opposite direction. This is P wave transmitted to the ventricle, but there is an aberrant conduction. This will give rise to pulse. And whenever you see a complex and that there is a pulse, that is supraventricular premature beat, which has been conducted to the ventricle, but there is an aberrant conduction. So do remember, this is not ventricular premature beat. So you can have a broad QRS complex in an atrial premature beat because of an aberrant conduction. Don't forget that, and don't mistake it for a ventricular premature beat. And here you will have a pulse followed by a compensatory pause. This pulse will be with a low volume followed by a pulse which will be with a good volume. I've already explained in an extrasystole. In atrial fibrillation, RR interval is changing. It is irregularly irregular. And if you see this, there are F wave. I can't make out P wave at all. These are called fibrillatory wave. So this is atrial fibrillation. Here these are sawtooth appearance. So this is atrial flutter with a variable block because RR interval is irregularly irregular. So this is variable block. Now this two I've kept for comparison. You can see here RR interval is irregular. Here also RR interval is irregular. To differentiate, you will have to look at the rhythm state. I can't make out P wave at all. These are all fibrillatory wave. While here I can see the P wave like a sawtooth appearance. That's why this is flutter, this is fibrillation. This is variable block. This is with fast ventricular rate because number of QRS complex. This is 9 multiplied by 10. This is 90. Sorry, this is normal. So that is normal rate. Now we'll show you some other ECG which will show you the different shapes of P wave. Now if you see here, this P wave is different. This P wave is different. This is upright. This is upright. Again this is different. Again this is different. This all arrow shows a different P wave. And they are coming little premature. If you see this interval, this is RR interval. See this is RR interval. And this has come premature. So these are atrial premature beat. And all P wave are different. So it is coming from multifocal. So it is multifocal atrial ectopic beats. And this is a very common finding which you can see in a person with digoxin toxicity and person with lung disorders like COPD. So do keep it in mind. And if the rate becomes faster, all P wave are abnormal. And if rate is faster, then we call that as a multifocal atrial tachycardia. So if the rate is more than 100 per minute, showing you are all different types of a P wave complexes, then you can call that as, and here roughly this is 10, this is more than 100, rate is 107 per minute. So this is multifocal atrial tachycardia. Now if I see a P wave, see this P wave are different shapes. And if there are more than 3 P wave which are of different shape in a 6-second strip, see this P wave, see this is different, this is different, this is different. So this is wandering atrial pacemaker and rate is normal. Rate is normal. Hence, this is called wandering atrial pacemaker, or you can also call it as a multifocal. These are all multifocal ectopic beats. But a better word utilized is a wandering pacemaker. You can see this P wave are different shape. So this is a wandering pacemaker. But if all are negative and rate is normal, we call left atrial ectopic rhythm. Now, if you see RR interval is changing, RR interval is changing, and it is irregular. But all QRS complex are narrow and preceded by P wave. You can see all are preceded by P wave. And if this RR interval is changing during inspiration and expiration, see during inspiration the interval is short, and during expiration the interval is getting prolonged, is increasing. This will happen in a condition we call as a sinus arrhythmias, or we call sinus dysrhythmia. And this is in a normal person where there is no specific etiology, and you can see sometime also in case of a pulmonary disease like COPD. Here you can make out much better that rate increases during inspiration, rate starts decreasing during expiration. This is sinus arrhythmias. Now in a sick sinus syndrome, in a person, in a 6-second strip, you can see sometimes a run of tachycardia and run of bradycardia. So that's why this is also called as a brady-arrhythmia syndromes, or lazy sinus syndrome, or common term utilizes sick sinus syndrome. And this can be associated with multiple other abnormalities, like I'll show you in another ECG. You can see here there is a severe bradycardia, and sometimes you get a pause. You can get an atrial fibrillation. You can see here abnormal rhythms, tachycardia, suddenly you will have a bradycardia. You can have a sinus pause. You can have a sinus arrest, etc. This will be a condition which will require a pacemaker, rate-related pacemaker. Now we go to another condition we call as a junctional rhythm, which we have already explained to you in a rhythm. That junctional rhythm means you will have a narrow QRS complex. It is usually not preceded by QRS or a P wave. P wave is usually absent. Sometimes P wave may be present just before QRS complex, or P wave may be present just after QRS complex, and good number of times P wave is hidden in a QRS complex. And rate is usually between 40 to 60 per minute. So that we call as a junctional rhythm with normal rate. If the rate becomes more than 60 but less than 100, we call accelerated junctional rhythm. If rate is less than 40, we call as a junctional bradycardia. And if rate is more than 100 per minute, we call as a junctional tachycardia. These are the four utilized. So narrow QRS, no P wave. As there is no P wave, you cannot calculate PR interval. P wave may be just after QRS complex like this ECG, or P wave may be present just before a QRS complex, which I have already shown you can be before QRS complex like this. And RR interval is regular, but the rate is between 40 to 60 per minute. We'll call that as junctional rhythm. So this is peculiar, and you can see if the rate becomes more than 60 per minute, we'll call that as junctional rhythm, but accelerated junctional rhythm. We'll call that as accelerated junctional rhythm. Accelerated junctional rhythm. That rate becomes, if rate becomes faster than 60 per minute. This is between 40 to 60 per minute. This we call as a normal junctional rhythm. And if the rate is more than 100 per minute, you will call that as junctional tachycardia. You can see a small P wave before QRS complex. Okay, clearly you can see that the rate is faster. P wave is before each QRS complex. QRS complex is narrow. RR interval is constant. Here it is junctional tachycardia, and here if you see, this is 30 small square, so rate is 50. So this is normal junctional rhythm, and P wave is preceding the QRS complex. So this is normal, and this is junctional tachycardia. Now we go to what we call as, we try to calculate the PP interval. I have already told you the atrial rate is always equal to ventricular rate. Whenever the atrial rate is equal to ventricular rate, by and large it is a sinus rhythm. By and large it is a sinus rhythm. If atrial rate is faster than ventricular rate, it is very common in atrial flutter, depending upon the type of block, variable block or a fixed block. And in case of complete heart block, atrial rate will be faster than ventricular rate. While in case of an AV dissociation, ventricular rate will be faster than atrial rate. All this I have discussed in previous lecture, that is rate. In Stokes-Adam attack, we can calculate only atrial rate, but there are no QRS complex, so we cannot calculate ventricular rate. While in case of a ventricular rhythm, we cannot calculate atrial rate because P wave is absent, like ventricular tachycardia, ventricular fibrillation, supraventricular tachycardia, paroxysmal atrial tachycardia, atrial fibrillation, sinus arrest, ventricular arrest, and in a case of a nodal rhythm, if there is no P wave seen. So in those cases, you cannot identify what is a P wave rate or what is a atrial rate. So you should try to look at the P wave properly and try to identify whether the P wave is present or absent. And if it is present, then try to calculate the atrial rate and compare with the ventricular rate. And you will be able to pick up some of those abnormal ECG. Now here you can see that this is PP interval, this is RR interval, PP interval and RR interval is constant. So this is normal sinus rhythm. So atrial rate and ventricular rate are same. If P wave is absent, you can't calculate the atrial rate. So these are some of the ECG where just I'll go fast. So this is normal sinus rhythm. Atrial rate is equal to ventricular rate. This is sinus bradycardia. Again, atrial rate is equal to ventricular rate. This is sinus tachycardia. Atrial rate is equal to ventricular rate. Because it is sinus rhythm, atrial rate has to be equal to ventricular rate. Now in this particular, you can see this is atrial fibrillation, flutter. So atrial rate is faster than ventricular rate. So this is classical where the atrial rate will be faster than ventricular rate. Atrial rate is 300 per minute, ventricular rate is 75 per minute. So atrial rate is 4 times more than ventricular. We call 4:1 block. 4:1 block. Now here RR interval is absolutely irregular. P wave is absent. We cannot calculate the atrial rate. So atrial rate we cannot calculate. Ventricular rate is more than 110 per minute. So we'll call atrial fibrillation with fast ventricular rate. We usually use that terminology. Now here you can see there is no P wave. So we can't calculate the atrial rate. We can calculate the ventricular rate. Ventricular rate is between 20 to 40 per minute. It is around 30 per minute. So this is broad QRS complex, no P wave. T wave is in the same direction. If you see that T wave is in here, it is in the opposite direction. Here it is upright. So this is idioventricular rhythm. And here you can't calculate the atrial rate. Ventricular rate is 30 per minute. You can call that as idioventricular rhythm. Again, you can see here. You can see the P wave here. RR interval is constant. This interval gives you a ventricular rate. Ventricular rate is between 20 to 40 per minute. It is around 30 per minute. And atrial rate is faster. If you see here, this is around 100. So atrial rate is 100. Ventricular rate is slow. That is idioventricular rhythm. But atrial rate is faster than ventricular rate. And P wave is not related to QRS complex. Both are independent. This is complete heart block with narrow QRS complex. This is complete heart block with broad QRS complex. You can see that P wave markers. Atrial rate is faster than ventricular rate. Here, atrial rate is 100 per minute, ventricular rate is 37. Now, narrow QRS complex, this is narrow QRS complex, but RR interval is constant. Ventricular rate is less than atrial rate, it is a complete heart block. And this is with a broad QRS complex, and it is also RR interval is constant, it is a complete heart block. Here you can calculate the P rate, atrial rate, but there is no ventricular complexion, no QRS complex. So you cannot calculate the ventricular rate. So RR rate you can calculate, but there is no ventricular complex, so you cannot calculate. Now we are going through what we call as a P wave relation to QRS complex. It is before or after, or it is merged in QRS complex. So P wave are always before QRS complex. PR interval is always same. If P wave is before each QRS complex and PR interval is same, we'll call that as a sinus rhythm. If P wave is after QRS complex, it is definitely AV nodal rhythm. If P wave has got no relation to QRS complex, it will be in a complete heart block or AV dissociation. Meaning, P wave either are more or less than QRS complex. If PR interval is changing or more than 0.2 second, then it is AV block. If P wave is before QRS complex and QRS complex is narrow, either it is a sinus rhythm or it is an atrial rhythm or it is a nodal rhythm. If P wave is broad and there is a P wave before broad QRS complex, it is a bundle branch block, WPW syndrome, or atrial rhythm with aberrant conduction. And if QRS complex is broad and P wave is absent, it will be ventricular rhythm. Remember, this is a very important clue. If you look at the P wave properly, whether it is present or absent, it is before or after QRS complex, and QRS complex is narrow or broad, and what is the PR interval. This will give you a very good idea regarding different types of rhythms, which we have already discussed in detail in a rhythm chapter. If you can't make out the P wave, then you can go for EP study, we call electrophysiological study, which will confirm that P wave is present or absent. And if it is present, it will tell you what is the origin of the pacemaker, what is the type of arrhythmias, and atrium is activated or not. This idea will be given by a EP study. And don't forget this particular, a person will have a normal P wave QRS complex recording on a monitor, rhythm strips, etc. But person will not have a pulse and blood pressure will not be recordable. So whenever you see a electrical activity of the heart in the form of a P wave QRS complex, which looks like a normal sinus rhythm, but there is no ventricular flutter or fibrillation, or there is no ventricular tachycardia, and person is unconscious, there is no pulse, no blood pressure record, this is pulseless electrical activity. The another name given to this was electromechanical dissociation. So electrical activity is there, but there is no mechanical contraction of the ventricle. That is called dissociation. So pulseless electrical activity. Don't forget this. You will see sometime this particular type, particularly person is unconscious, but still you see a normal sinus rhythm. So this person requires a resuscitation. CPR, resuscitation. Don't forget this. And ECG will not show ventricular tachycardia, ventricular fibrillation, or ventricular arrest. Here I end my lecture. I hope this will be very helpful to you. See you next time.